Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So this week's video is going to be a little bit different to my usual. I am currently running around like crazy trying to get everything sorted to commence my Aussie Lab, let's call it 2.0. So I thought this would be a really good time just to be able to stop and reflect and just kind of admire everything that I've already been able to see and do already. So far I've managed to do most of Queensland, New South Wales, Vic, Tasmania and South Australia, or at least half of South Australia. And I've just seen so many incredible places. So it's going to be quite hard to narrow it down, but I'm going to run you guys through what I would consider my top 10 favorite locations. So let's get into it. Now, it should come as no surprise that the Yorke Peninsula located in South Australia is my number one place in Australia that I've visited so far. This is a big call, but given that it's located just 2 hours from Adelaide and is known for some of the most stunning coastlines, crystal clear waters, some of the best fishing, and then of course the wildlife as well. Now, what I would recommend if you are here is to head out to Point Turton and see the resident stingrays. Flattery Beach, if you know the Yorke Peninsula, you probably have heard of this beach before. It is some of the whitest sand and crystal clear waters, and I had the entire place to myself as well. And then of course all of the rock pools that you will find all over the Yorke Peninsula is one of my favourite parts. So I did head out to the one out at Shell Beach, drove along these beautiful coloured cliffs, and then I highly recommend the rock pool out at Kangaroo Island Lookout. It's an easy-ish hike down, but I do recommend doing this at low tide and you won't be disappointed. Now, number 2 on my list is the Fleurieu Peninsula located in South Australia. I promise you, South Australia is the underdog of Australia. You could not go wrong by visiting this location. So the Fleurieu Peninsula is located just 45 minutes from Adelaide, so it's a little bit closer. You are going to experience very similar stunning coastlines that you would see in the Yorke Peninsula, only you have the addition of some of the best wines in the region. So do recommend do a little wine tour whilst you're there. Now, I couldn't recommend highly enough, head down to Blowhole Beach. You can get down via 4-wheel drive, or you can also hike down as well, but you'll come across some of the most beautiful hilltops overlooking the crystal clear waters, not to mention the secret beach out at Karakalinga Beach. Now, after mentioning this location across YouTube and all of my socials, it was recently picked up by Yahoo Lifestyle as well, so this one is going to be a little bit of a hot location, no doubt. Next on my list is Mount Gambier, located in South Australia. So this actually sits on the border of Victoria and South Australia, so you're looking at about a 4.5-hour drive from Adelaide or a 5-hour drive from Melbourne. The city actually sits on the slopes of an extinct volcano, and this offers a very unique landscape including craters, lakes and sinkholes. There is so much to see in the area. I would highly recommend checking out the Blue Lake. The colours literally are one of those places you have to see it to believe it. The Umphenston Sinkhole, always butchering that name, but this has actually been transformed into these lush gardens that you can walk through. It is absolutely beautiful. And then not to mention the fact that you can snorkel your way through Ewan Ponds, as well as going diving in the Kilsby Sinkhole. They also do some pretty incredible gin as well. Now, coming in at number 4 is Tasmania, but I want to speak specifically to the southwest portion. So this is actually part of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area and is actually considered one of the most remote and untouched regions in Australia. It's located just 2 to 3 hours from Hobart, and this could be part of the reason why a lot of people don't venture out this far, but I highly recommend it. Is so worth the drive out there. Some of the locations I highly recommend visiting whilst you're there is Lake Roseberry, Lake Pedder, Ted's Beach, and can I just say, some of the best free camps you will find in Australia. Now from there, highly recommend visit Gordon Dam. This will blow your mind. And then of course you've got the Iron Blow plus Montezuma Falls, so you are definitely not short of places to visit whilst you're in the area. Now next on my list, number 5, we have got Fraser Island, or otherwise known as Gari. Now this is located on the southeastern coast of Queensland, and it's located about 15 kilometers from Hervey Bay, but you do have a couple of access points. Now I could go on for so long about all of the beautiful locations whilst you're here. I do recommend checking out your Lake Mackenzie's, your 75 Mile Beach, Champagne Pools, all of those typical iconic attractions, but my favourite spot whilst I was on Fraser Island was definitely Eli Creek. So this is located along 75 Mile Beach, and it is definitely a popular location, so I would recommend getting there early. But it's actually the largest freshwater creek on the eastern side of the island, and this pours about 4 million litres of water into the ocean every single hour. But it is so relaxing, you just get to float nice and gently down the creek, which was an absolute highlight for me. Now coming in at number 6, we have got the Blue Mountains, located in New South Wales. This is one of those locations that I will always hold so close to my heart. This is officially where it all started. So my very first YouTube was placed here in the Blue Mountains, and this is where I started off with my journey and a swag. So we have come a long way from there, but whilst I was in the region, the Blue Mountains spans over such a big area. I specifically went out to Katoomba and I explored that local area. So that was about 90 minutes west of Sydney. Now, the Blue Mountains is a World Heritage Area, and there is just an abundance of hikes and waterfalls to see. I do recommend Victoria Falls, Lincoln Rock, Hanging Rock, and the Three Sisters, but this is one of those places you could come back 100 times and still not see it all. Coming in at number 7, we have got the Great Ocean Road, located in Victoria. So this is roughly an hour and a half from Melbourne, and the road itself stretches 243 kilometres along Victoria's southwestern coast. So you'll start in Torquay and you'll end in Allensford, and the amount of places that you can explore in this region is phenomenal. I would highly recommend exploring all through the Great Otway National Park, visiting the 12 Apostles, the Gibson Steps, Lockhart Gorge. You have got endless possibilities. The only thing I would give you a little bit pre-warning on is that it is a very busy location, so expect to see a lot of crowds. So as always, my motto is get in early so that you can experience it all to yourself. Now coming in at number 8 is the Atherton Tablelands in Queensland. Now I really should have just labelled this Far North Queensland as a whole, because I'm going to sneak in a couple more here, but they're all very local to this region if you're visiting anyway. So the Atherton Tablelands is approximately 1 to 1.5 hours drive west of Cairns, and it covers an area of around 13,000 square kilometres. So it's a very unique terrain. We are talking wet tropics of Queensland, so it is absolutely beautiful the amount of waterfalls you're going to come across. Now some of the the waterfalls and locations I highly recommend visiting is your Josephine Falls, your Babinda Boulders, Mila Mila Falls, Zilly Falls, Alinja Falls. Like, there is an abundance of waterfalls, but they are all so unique within themselves. And then if you want to venture out a little bit further and you're up for a little bit of a hike, Wooloman Falls is an absolute highlight as well. You just have to hype yourself up for about a 12-kilometer walk out and back. Coming in at number 9, we've got Moreton Island in Queensland. This is a popular weekend getaway as it's located about 40 kilometres east of Brisbane. This can be accessed via ferry or boat, and it takes on average 1.5 to 2 hours to get there. Now, fun fact, Moreton Island covers an area of approximately 186 square kilometres, and this makes it the 3rd largest sand island in the world. Now, it doesn't matter if you are here for a weekend or a week, you will not run out of things to do. This is a beautiful island with beautiful beaches and so much to do, so if I could recommend anything, please bring along a snorkel set or hire one in advance, because seeing Tangalooma wrecks from under the water is an experience that everybody has to have. It is so beautiful, and you can swim here from shore. Now, outside of that, there are plenty of sand dunes for you to play on. You've got the Lighthouse Walk, you've got Mount Tempest, and of course you can just simply fish off the beach and enjoy the serenity around you. And coming in at number 10, although let's be honest, all of these spots all deserve a number 1 placing, is the Victorian High Country in Victoria. So this is located roughly 3 to 4 hours from Melbourne, depending on which part of the region you do go and visit. But the Victorian High Country is part of the Great Dividing Range, which runs along the eastern side of Australia. The region offers everything from alpine peaks, rugged valleys, high plains, and rainforests. You cannot go wrong by visiting. Now, my first trip out to the Victorian High Country, I did actually stick with some of the main attractions. I didn't really stray too much off the beaten path, which is why I can't wait to get back out there with my new setup and tackle some of the most epic four-wheel drive tracks. Whilst you're here, I do recommend 3 spots, which is Rollinson Falls, the Horn at Mount Buffalo, and Pretty Valley Falls Creek as well. There was the most incredible campsite out there as well, and I had the entire place to myself.
Having toured half of Australia already, trying to narrow that down to 10 places was near impossible, but we got there in the end, and I hope I've shed some light on some incredible places for you all to add to your list as well, whether you're doing a weekend getaway or if you are doing the big lap yourself. So as always, thank you so much for all of the support you show on my channel, and I can't wait to bring you guys the next one next week.